It is so great on an early fall morning in a beautiful facility like this to have that so much energy. So thank you all for coming. My name is Matt Dunne. I'm the founder and executive director of the Center on Rural Innovation, and welcome to the CORI conference, where we're going to dive into the intersection of AI and rural innovation. And I want to thank a few sponsors and folks who allowed us to be able to do this. And first and foremost is MASS MoCA, who allowed us to use this unbelievable space. For those of you who haven't had the chance, I hope you will be able to explore, because nothing exemplifies the understanding of our history and embracing that history, but also understanding how creativity can bring us into the future. And so we are so grateful to be here, and they've been incredible hosts. We've also had a number of financial sponsors for this event, both national, but also from the state of Massachusetts that really stepped up. And I want to recognize one Berkshire. Ben Lamb is here, who has been our fantastic host in brilling together the coalition to be able to allow us to do it here in Western Massachusetts. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our journey, because some of you here we've known for a long time, but some of you are new to the Center on Rural Innovation. And so I'm going to take you back to my childhood. I grew up just up the river here in Vermont, in a town where the economy was fueled by machine tool and dairy until it wasn't. And I had the experience that many young rural people had, which was that my senior year in high school, the two largest employers in our county shut down, dairy farms went on the auction block, and even our small ski area went bankrupt. I went off to college, supported by my community, and I came back and was elected to the legislature the same year that I graduated, on a platform that I should not be the exception in being able to come home. And from that work in the legislature, I focused on economic development strategies that could allow us to create jobs and opportunity without destroying what makes rural America so special. Outside of the part-time legislature, I did some community redevelopment work, including running an opera house for a little while, whole other story. I joined a software company that we helped grow to 100 employees in the late 90s. I was the head of AmeriCorps Vista, doing some of the first Bridging the Digital Divide initiatives. And eventually, I got recruited by Google to stand up their community affairs program. And when I refused to move, they let me open an office for Google in downtown White River Junction in an old bread factory building that felt a little bit like this. And it was from that perch at a juggernaut of a technology company from 2007 to 2016 that I experienced this dichotomy where everyone that I was working with was so excited about technology and where it was going and where it was taking us, and we saw all of this wealth creation and jobs, and yet the communities I was closest to were continuing to decline and not seeing the kind of recovery from the Great Recession that we saw in so many urban places. So in 2017, with the support of a variety of different funders, including Reid Hoffman, the Siegel Family Endowment, the Vermont Community Foundation, we got the Center on Rural Innovation off the ground, on the premise that in the age of the internet, there should be no limit to where innovation-based jobs and investable startups should be able to thrive. So we got to work in a pilot in Springfield, Vermont. We then started working in other parts of rural America, helping them with a strategy to be able to build a tech economy and then the funding to actually realize that vision. Fast forward to today, and we have 40 communities from across 25 states that are all part of the Rural Innovation Network. and are along on this journey together. In fact, many of them are here today. If you are a leader in the Rural Innovation Network, please stand up. Stand up. There you go. These are the extraordinary leaders who have been working so hard to be able to make a future for their community, but they're doing it together because they understand a fundamental rural tenet that collaborating is the way that you can actually build something much more powerful than going alone. And that work together has been on display. They were here for the entire, for all of yesterday, sharing ideas, sharing strategies that they're finding as they do this difficult but incredibly fulfilling work. And all of this hard work and energy that this group of communities has brought together and we've been doing over the last eight and a half years brings us to this exciting moment. Because I fundamentally believe that AI presents rural economies the opportunity of a lifetime. You see, over the past 40 years, every time there has been a major step function in technology, rural America has fallen further behind. The lack of access to broadband has meant they've not been able to engage with those technology tools that are in cloud computing or even GPS to be able to create new innovations. The traditional tradable goods industries of manufacturing and agriculture and extraction in rural places automated incredibly quickly. And the jobs that were created by those kinds of automations almost exclusively ended up in cities. Globalization also had its impact, partially because of policy, but also because technology allowed for urban-based designers to be able to work with manufacturing facilities anywhere in the world doing rapid prototyping rather than looking to lower-cost labor markets in rural places. And that trajectory led to the largest opportunity gap that we have seen in our country between urban and rural America. And this moment that we're arriving in now is a chance to be able to change that trajectory. Because the hard work that many of you in this room did over the last 8-9 years has allowed us to level the playing field in infrastructure. The funding, the public funding that came from the broadband investments of the last 3 years and the resources that are sitting there ready to be deployed over the next 3 years will mean that that is now no longer an infrastructure gap and can actually be a leveling of that playing field, which means that rural technologists and innovators will be able to access the kinds of AI tools that previously wouldn't have been available as was the case in the past with other technology step functions. And that leveling of the playing field allows us to do something very different and tackle the kinds of things that usually rural technology hubs were criticized for. And they fit into a few different categories. They're like, oh, you can't do that in rural because you don't have enough people. I sometimes referred to it as the cult of agglomeration, that you needed to have 400 front-end web developers the moment that you got your Series A. It also was that there wasn't the technical expertise. There weren't all of the different people who might have this niche of understanding of how to do this particular part of a coding stack, or someone who had brought a SaaS product to market 4 times over who you would run into in a coffee shop. And there was also the notion of the lack of capital. Because as we all heard, venture capitalists like to give resources to founders who are within a 30-minute drive of their office so that they could meet them face to face. Well, AI has the potential to take all 3 of these head on. What AI means is that smaller teams can bring ideas to market. It means that that kind of expertise about different marketplaces and how to do product market fit and how to even do the tedious pieces of that coding that usually takes weeks and weeks and weeks is at your fingertips. And because of the efficiencies that you have with AI, you also are able to do it with less resources. So you're hearing about people who are no longer thinking about having to do their seed fund and then their Series A and their Series B, and maybe they'll get all the way to an IPO or an ESOP or something. And people are now talking about seed scaling, where that little bit of resources at the front end can make all the difference. And we saw an example of this. The winner of our Small Towns Big Ideas competition last year, which is our national annual pitch competition from the Rural Innovation Network, was a woman named Katie McVeigh, who lives in eastern North Carolina, sixth-generation dairy farm family, who created an app that allowed someone to do herd evaluation using computer vision and AI to be able to determine the attributes of a cow. For those of you who grew up in rural and may have gone to the 4-H or other things, it was usually a guy who would come out and look at the hips and look at the nose and look at the udders and say, oh, it's that grade or it's this grade or the other. And she knew from her research that that was actually a pretty good way of judging the herd stock and how it was going to lead to better herds down the road. But she also knew that that should be able to be done with something like this, empowering farmers to be able to know what they have in their herd stock and to be able to appropriately grow their herd. And so Katie is one of those examples that we have out there that's leveraging these tools. And I checked in with her last February and I said, how's it going? I heard you had some trouble bringing on some new devs to be able to build out the product. She said, I'm actually way ahead of schedule, because I'm now able to do in a Sunday afternoon what used to take me 3 weeks of slogging through lines and lines of code. And so I said, well, we have a seed fund at the Center on Rural Innovation. When might you think about being ready for an investment? And she said, I think I'm good. Now, this isn't to say that AI doesn't have its challenges associated with it. The impacts of data centers are real, and communities need to come in eyes wide open to understand what they're getting when they are building that kind of critical infrastructure. My wife, as some of you know, is a novelist, and the issues of intellectual property are very, very serious, and creators must be compensated for their creative work. And I also have my son who's a junior in college and majoring in computer science. And so the news stories about tech firms no longer hiring entry-level coders hits me pretty closely. But Judd would actually be the first to tell you how exciting this moment is, as he rolled out last summer, coding in our barn, his first app, which has now close to 1,000 users. And this is a moment where that kind of agency can be felt by people all over, because so many more people can be builders. So many people can have that agency to do that work. And we as rural folks have a moment where we can decide, how do we want to make this happen? Do we want to be an afterthought in this technology moment? And do we want to shoulder the burden of all of the infrastructure of AI while not seeing the benefit? As you can probably guess, I believe firmly that we have a chance right now not only to be able to not fall behind, but to actually close the gap and make sure that we are leading in this moment. Rural technologists are able to seize it to be able to create the economy and the community of their future. And that's why it is with great excitement Today we are announcing that we have secured in the last couple of months $7 million to be able to ensure that rural technologists and communities across the Rural Innovation Network have access to the best-in-class AI tools and training to be able to thrive. And we are just getting started. Some of the Center on Rural Innovation staff are going, don't go too far in what you're saying, because this is going to be something that we need to work on together. Because the truth is that none of us really knows what the economy in rural America under AI is going to be like. In fact, no one really knows what the future of work is going to be like in this AI future. But the good news is that we are able to be a part of defining that. We're able to figure out together, working with local economic development leaders and technologists, how we can forge this change to make sure that everyone has the access to those tools. This initiative is being, the lead funder in this initiative is the Siegel Family Endowment, and you'll be hearing more from Katie in a moment. The Siegel Family Endowment has been with us from the very beginning, starting small and then growing over a period of time, but it also includes an incredible group of regional and corporate philanthropy entities that are stepping up, including the Patterson Foundation, the Patrick J. McGovern Foundation, Cognizant, NASDAQ Foundation, LinkedIn, and Microsoft. And it is an incredible coalition of both funders, but also organizations that want to bring their expertise along with their funding to co-learn with us and to make sure that we are successful. Now, I want to be clear that this initiative is exciting, but it's just the beginning. We are going to be working as hard as we can to come up to speed quickly to be able to get these programs out. And these are going to be programs that address our core constituencies that we think is necessary to do the work on the ground and to create the systems change. We'll be developing new tech talent development programs that include the best-in-class AI tools and start to use AI tools to be able to provide ongoing support and mentorship for those learners across rural America. We're going to be standing up a virtual accelerator to be able to support the founders and the startups across the Rural Innovation Network communities that are being nurtured and supported by the accelerators that each of these communities have stood up over time, but to make sure that they're continuing to get that support from mentors and other kinds of insights so that they can be successful. We're going to be doing research so that we can be on the front edge of how AI is evolving, how it's impacting economies, how it's impacting jobs, but we'll also be ground truthing it in those communities that we are working with across the country to make sure that that data is valid and then to be able to inform the entire country on what is working, what's not working, and what we can do to improve it. And we will be doing this all through our local economic development leaders in the Rural Innovation Network, because we know the best people to be able to deliver this value and this training and this content are folks that are closest to the community, that are on the ground, that know those founders, know the assets in their area, and can do the most to be able to bring those ideas to fruition. And this work it will be getting underway this fall, and we know that we will find other moments for people to get involved. We need to make sure that we have folks like everyone in this room that are about working together to make sure that this can happen in the way that we hope that it can. So whether you're an investor, a philanthropist, a technologist, or a community leader, we're asking you to become a part of this overall effort, because this is going to take us working quickly. We can't allow the same thing to happen in the past. We have a chance to change the story of rural America in this technology moment. The AI moment is the rural moment, and we hope that you will join us in this exciting cause. Thank you. So today you're going to hear from a number of people who are all at the cutting edge of working with AI, whether it's on the ground with learners, whether it's doing economic development, whether it's an investment. As I said before, nobody knows all the answers, but we've got some great people today that will start that exploration as we're working together. And there has been no one more committed to this cause than Katie Knight at the Siegel Family Endowment. Not only has Katie been a supporter of ours from our very first pilot all the way through to this multi-year commitment that they have made to allow us to really dive into this new space, but Katie has also been a national leader on the issues of AI. She's not been afraid to take on some of the dogma that's out there, some of the hype, but also understanding the incredible power and agency that technology can provide if we do it right, if we do it inclusively. I can think of no better partner in thinking through these ideas, and Katie brings trust-based philanthropy just to a whole new level.